So what I want to explain is when you are solving vectors, you must know the compass very well. Other than that, you must know some of the important trig identities and trigonometric equations. So e.g., you must know the sine rule. I'm sure you remember the sine rule, which says sine A over A side, which is opposite to A, equals sine B over B. You can even flip both because that's an equation. So if you flip the A, so if we write it like that, I'm sure my child more grade 9 in some shish. Trig. So this is what I'm talking about. The sine rule. It's very useful in solving trig questions. So the other one is the cosine rule. So for the sine rule, you remember, go and look it up.
Sir,
Yes?
maybe next service, lift the paper a little bit.
Ah, well, mfana mwa ibushia musugo for the
Pale- we kaidi pale funa muna kaidi fia sana funa de wonfia. Yeah. I've seen something that differs from what I was taught.
Yeah, you can. Yes. What's different there?
Okay, there on top. Okay, let's use the first equation, right?
Yes.
Since you said sine capital A. Now
No, capital
below, are you supposed to put?
Okay, let me change. Maybe let me put one as this.
Yes, sir, because I can enough sana kono funa sa funa birum grade 9
Because this
sine
small letter
over sine angle A,
Look.
something like that. If you have monapo new na ine.
I'm sure you remember it's like this. Small letters
yes
on the side, Stephen.
Yes, I remember that one. Yes.
And the angles are caps.
Yes.
The angles are caps. And this must be
small
open.
letter. Right.
All right, Mami, hey, your turn. Let's use English. So I want to explain that this is very useful when you're solving your vectors. So try to analyze it from that perspective, okay? When you're solving your vectors, this concept is very useful. So always make sure when you are doing these things, and then you can flip the A and the B can become at the same time, they can become coefficients while you drop these, because it's an equation. What you do this side, you must also do the other side when you're equating, because equation means these are the same as. So remember that, see, this is from a triangle, and I love the fact that you are saying, hey, no, sir, what whatever, it means you are experts, which is good, which is very good for me. The other one which you should know is the cosine rule. I'm sure you remember the cosine rule, isn't it? So I'll write the cosine rule as well. So the cosine rule is like this. I'm sure you've seen something like this. C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. You did this also at your grade 8, I'm sure. So you must know these things. Yes?
We did, yes, sir.
Right. So I'm expecting you to be experts at doing these things. So this thing, guys, you should know that parts of the triangle, that this one, the C is a side opposite to the angle C. And then these are
please mute your mic.
like that. So
Sorry.
remove the mics, guys. Remove the mics. Twachumboka chumuntu ali mu market. So Mebo, shimia mic. Sabazi mwe mwatimbe ale sira dala kanshire tala kwate ya kushimia mama. So don't be so brutal mukukani. Shimia. Mebo, can you switch off the mic? You can manage.
Yes, sir, just a minute.
Okay. Mama fya nyo fya mazumu. Bambikola bachandi kwata question taishwe fya kwimya okuboko. Mama ale chula no kwimya okuboko. So those are the things. So I expect you that. Other than that, I expect you to know trig identities. So what are the trig identities that are there? There are so many. One of the most common ones is that sine 90 minus theta equals cos theta. Also, cos 90 minus theta equals sine theta. Like this. Sine 90 minus theta equals cos theta. Also, cos 90 minus theta equals sine theta. What this means is that if you have two angles and they add up to 90, the sine of one is equal to the cos of the other one. You used to do this in your paper 1 in maths at grade 12, where you're not allowed to carry a calculator. They will give you what cos 60 is and instead ask you for sine 30. And you go to report to your parents to say, tuwachikwata trig mami tamuni na calculators, imagine if bati tuchitafe ye wada abantu mwandu ukutuchusha ikwatu tuwatu calculator when brain shaya mulero ndo devo. And yet all they expected was for you to know that since when you add 30 plus 60 they give you 90. So if two things add up to 90, the sine of one is equal to the cosine of the other one. So this is one of the skills that you must perfect. So make sure you work so hard at knowing these things. So if someone gives you sine 10 must be equal to cos what? Sine 10 must be equal to cos what, guys?
Cos 80.
Cos 80. Therefore, why? Because 10 plus 80 are the ones that give you 90. The other identity is sine theta over cos theta equals tan theta. Sine theta, like this, sine theta over cos theta equals tan theta. So if you do sine 30 divided by cos 30, what you get is tan 30. If you do sine 20 divided by cos 20, what you get is tan 20. I'm sure you remember sine was opposite over hypotenuse. Cos was adjacent over hypotenuse. So when you divide opposite, divide by hypotenuse, then you divide it by adjacent over hypotenuse. Remember that when you divide among fractions, you put a cross and then you reciprocate. So what you get in the end is opposite over adjacent. So this is also a very important identity, guys. This one. Are you getting? So go through these ones that I'm mentioning here. So the other identity is that sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equals 1. Sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equals 1. So this identity, you must also know it for perfecting your skills. You must know some of the trig, guys. You must know some of the trig. It's very important. You must know that cos 90 is equal to 0. For the most cos 90 is equal to 0, such that even a guy, if he proposes you, instead of no nakana urefu wa usomvata, I thought about what you told me. The answer is cos 90. Mshapo. Ngachikopo. Chalambu kwa mkuchuru na calculator. Devo? Nishiwana weno. Mambo guys. So you must reason like that. The other points, these are the only trick points that I've explained. The other points that I still emphasize are that every vector has two components, x and y. Then you have theta, then the resultant. So the resultant R is this vector. Then these are displacements. So there's x on the x-axis and y on the y-axis. This y should not even be bold, it should be dotted. So that's how it is. So this triangle means you must also know your SOHCAHTOA. I'm sure you remember your SOHCAHTOA, that sine theta is y over r. Cos theta is x over r. Because r is the hypotenuse, not so? Then tan theta is y over x. So that is very important. So you should know that theta is tan inverse y over x. That's
Sorry for the interruption. I didn't see. You can repeat the.
Like this.
I think put back the. Okay, thank you.
The right angle triangle. This is the right angle triangle. It has y, which is vertical, x, which is horizontal, and r, which is the hypotenuse. Here, there is 90 degrees. So I was saying sine theta is y, which is opposite over hypotenuse. Then cos theta is adjacent, which is x over r, which is the hypotenuse. But then I was saying the most important is that tan theta is equal to y over x. So those ones are mostly given, and the ones you solve for, the components. So you must know that theta is equal to tan inverse y over x. It's equal to tan inverse y over x. So try to know those concepts. And then you must also know from your Pythagoras theorem that x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So r is equal to the root of x squared plus y squared. Like this. R is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared. You must know that. Then one of the things you must know is that the resultant is the sum of a number of vectors. The sum of vectors is called the resultant. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? So these are the basic tricks that
yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. Gordon.
Yes, sir. I have a question on this formula you gave for the tan. You are from explaining the right angle triangle where you said tan is opposite over adjacent.
Yes.
Then you earlier explained. Then you earlier explained about tan equals to sine over cos. Isn't this the same?
It is, but the application is different. The application is different. So if someone gives you, because sometimes you get, someone gives you sine theta is equal to 0.89, cos theta is equal to 0.9 something. What is the angle? They give you two. So you know, you as a scientist, you know that all you need is to divide the sine over the cos to get the tan, and then you do the inverse. So the application is different. But for this angle, you see, when you're finding just a resultant, when you get your x and your y, when you do tan inverse y over x, those will be values. So maybe your x is 5, your y is 4. All you do is tan inverse 5 over 4. It's that simple. Right.
Understood, sir.
Tandiwa.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, I heard you
yes.
yes, sir, I heard you mention that vectors and the trigonometry thing. So, like, does the trigonometry thing deal with all kinds of vectors or just non-collinear vectors?
My friend, what is that? Collinear vectors, if you remember. Too much to chaya kuno. Twali specific. Tekungira ma vectors amuli maths. Ayamaka. The maths applies to these triangles that we have. So the vectors will end up with triangles. So we must know parallelogram law, we must know sine rule, we must know cosine rule. If you are kutondonga padi ayomana nama codinya, it doesn't really help. So because we will solve even whatever it is components, even if you have so many vectors, I'm sure that's the question you want to find. Even if you have so many vectors, we'll find the components x and y, and then we'll add the x's and the y's, and we'll do these things that we've done today. Are we there?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? So the other point that I mentioned was the parallelogram. It becomes an easy shortcut. The parallelogram, I think I mentioned the parallelogram last time, that in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal and adjacent angles add up to 180. So you must reason like that always. So if this is the reasoning. So if this is theta, then that is also theta. So the angle there will be 180 minus the theta. So that's always the reasoning. And to get the vector there, that makes a triangle. You must know how to draw the diagonal. You should know how to draw the diagonal. That's diagonal, like that. So let's improve these skills. They are very useful. The only problem is you na mamba nukulana chalimbi extension. Because in there we show kufunda imwe but mwabe ni mwakana. So we didn't go through any tutorials, and I didn't give you any tutorials.
Sir, you taught us on the diagonal parts, whereby you had to put the resistance on the middle and the force, but
What's
the questions
resistance,
didn't give
man?
us.
Vamonde mayo. Hello? Monde.
Yes, sir.
Mayo
Yes, sir.
not resistant.
Yes, sir.
Resultant.
Resultant.
Yeah, mambo mayo. Yeah. Mwepa mle controller na nama vector. So if you, like you've told me what I told you, all right. So that's the case. So we have a session. So I'll delay it a bit because it's supposed to start at 15:20. But then I'll use the minutes that will remain. It's supposed to start at 15:15, but we'll start at 15:20 because I want to put those PDFs on your group. Are we together? But I think we can do it in 5 minutes.
Yes,
sir, you send via StudyMaster or to the group WhatsApp group?
I'll send via WhatsApp. The StudyMaster is stripped. The StudyMaster is stripped. I don't know. Has anyone?
Oh, okay, sir.
Someone said that it's working.
Now it's working.
Not working.
Yes.
It is now working.
Yes.
Okay. I'll go and put some notes there then. Okay. Okay, the stud master is for a register. More important. That's how the management will know that we are learning. So it's very important the stud master. Like if two registers swap, or just open each other. But stud master is where they will know that there's a register, because I'm sure you see the people who log in, Balaba registered, So those are the reasonings. So I want any other questions on vectors. So I've already told you that the resultant is the sum of the vectors. So to get the resultant, you must get the x's, you find them, and the y's, you find them. Then you apply these trig functions that we have.
Sammy, I'm lost in.
You are lost with what?
The last things that you said before you started saying this.
Well, the last thing, what? Ninda. Tawadi muli mu class. What parallelogram law? So just Google parallelogram law. Yes, I'm telling you, they are straightforward. They are straightforward because I've already said for a parallelogram like this, parallelogram ni shape you say. Then this diagonal is just cut it into two equal triangles, two similar triangles. So I was saying this side and this side, these are parallel. This side is also parallel, so they are equal. Then this theta must always be equal to its opposite. The theta must always be equal to opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. Then adjacent angles add up to 180. So apanga ni 50. Ni shapani 180 minus 50. Apanga ni 80, ni shapani 100. So these two must always add up to 180, and these opposite ones must always be equal. These must be equal. Then diagonal is the longest side in that the one that you draw from one point to another. Because vectors you add the head to the tail. So that's the reason. It's just that you must be catching up. Don't you go last seven? No, Shadiko is not a defense. Shadiko is not a defense. So try to work out these aspects.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I've got the question. I mean, something I'd like to say, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. On the thing for studying master, sir, I saw the names which were listed in our group. Like those were not abiding by the rules you gave. So, sir, I'm not so sure. Like, I'm not so certain on the part where we are making mistakes, because I think so far what I did was what you asked us to do. Like, I answered the questions correctly. I even stated the person who asked the question before I answered it. I don't know where I went wrong.
Mofat, this is physics, it's not biology.
I know, and I'm not talking to you.
You are so rude, you eh?
Mofat, you are a family.
Calm down.
Kwasa nincho nombare nkaripira mlandu nebaza ninchi batama max nindu zingafira mwarandire.
No, so what I'm trying to say is no one. So the study master participate. Okay, we need that thing. Your participation is very important. For me, it's not really that much, but I want you to be participating. You should be, because that's why you should be able to know your views, so that even when editors, like auditors come, they'll come and find some that the students are learning and they're asking questions. So just put on the same. Those ones are rectifiable.
Okay, sir.
Well, cheers. You should apologize to the
sir, I have a question, so.
Yeah? Yes, Paul.
Yes, sir. Like on study master, like those rules that were out, like, yes, like on those rules. From what I understood, those were like, you should ask questions you didn't understand while you were studying that topic. Means that you didn't understand. But if you ask something that you didn't understand, saying that it is wrong, because I expect if you have been given a set topic to go and study about it, which means just about those things that you were given, which you are asked to do, that means you have understood all of.
Let's help one another, guys. Mambale? Let's help one another.